It was a chilly February night in 2021 when a young man pulled up to a red light in the New Haven, Connecticut area. The temperature was plummeting. The streets were empty. Kevin Jiang had just left his fiance's apartment. He was still grinning from the night he and his fiancée had spent together. He was thinking about his future, the wedding they were planning, the life they were going to build together. He had no idea he was being stalked. Then a car rear-ended him. Not hard, just a tap. The kind of minor collision that occurs every day. Kevin Jiang did what any good Samaritan would do. He got out to check on the other driver. And just seconds later, 8 gunshots rang out through the quiet residential neighborhood. Lights flickered on. People peered out their windows. What they saw was a nightmare come true. By the time the police arrived, Kevin Jiang was lying dead on the sidewalk, his car still running, his phone buzzing with a text from his fiancée asking if he'd made it home. At first, the police thought it was a case of road rage. Random, senseless, just another senseless tragedy on an American street corner. But it wasn't random. It was carefully planned, carefully calculated, and chillingly close to perfect. What the police would eventually discover was a tale of Ivy League universities, secret obsession, staged shootings to throw the police off their trail, hot-wired cars with disabled tracking devices, and a killer who was convinced he was smarter than everyone else. This is the real-life story of the MIT Perfect Murder. Chapter 1. Who was Kevin Jiang? Kevin Jiang was 26 years old. But to grasp the level of tragedy in this murder, you have to understand who Kevin Jiang really was. He was a graduate student at Yale University, pursuing a degree in environmental engineering at the Yale School of the Environment. However, Kevin Jiang was more than just another graduate student. He was a second lieutenant in the U.S. Army National Guard. He had honorably served his country. He had worked hard to earn his rank. He had done it all through discipline and dedication. His friends would describe him as disciplined, kind, and passionately driven by faith. He was an active member of his church, Trinity Baptist Church in New Haven. He regularly volunteered at homeless shelters. He mentored young people. He taught Bible study classes. Kevin Jiang did not just talk about helping others, he lived it every day. His academic advisor at Yale would later say that Kevin Jiang was one of the most effective students he had ever met in 30 years of teaching. Kevin Jiang studied mercury pollution in Connecticut waterways. He would hike to over 30 different ponds, collect samples, and analyze data. It was the kind of unglamorous work that actually made a difference. Kevin Jiang had his life all planned out. Every detail was as precisely mapped out as he was with his research. In early 2021, he became engaged to Zion Perry. They met at a Christian retreat in January 2020. Zion was a genius, pursuing her PhD in molecular biophysics and biochemistry at Yale. They met over faith, science, and a passion to make the world a better place. On January 30th, 2021, Kevin took Zion on a hike to a waterfall. There, in nature, he dropped to one knee and proposed. The video captures pure joy. Zion's voice cracks with happiness. "Oh, Kevin. Oh, wow. Oh, yes, yes." They had only announced their engagement a week before his murder. Kevin was planning a wedding, planning a career in environmental science, planning to serve his community, planning a future with the woman he loved. He had no enemies, no criminal record, no debts or drama, no reason for anyone to want him dead, which is exactly why the murder didn't make sense to the police. Who kills a man like Kevin Jiang, and why? Chapter 2. The night of the murder. February 6, 2021, New Haven, Connecticut, Saturday night. Kevin spent the day with Zion. They went ice fishing on a frozen lake. They laughed. They made plans for their wedding. That evening, they had dinner at her apartment in the East Rock neighborhood, a beautiful part of town near Yale's campus. Kevin departs Zion's apartment around 8:30 p.m. He gives her a goodbye kiss, tells her he loves her, promises to text her when he gets home. His mother is waiting for him at their house in West Haven. It's a quick drive, only a few miles, a route Kevin had driven hundreds of times before. He turns onto Lawrence Street, drives one block, then another. At an intersection, another car slams into him from behind. It's not a violent crash, just enough to shake Kevin, to make him pull over and check for damage. Kevin gets out of his Toyota Prius, engine still running. He walks towards the black SUV behind him. Eyewitnesses would later describe what happened next as surreal, as if they were watching something that couldn't possibly be real. A man emerges from the SUV, tall, thin, wearing all black. Black jacket, black pants, black winter hat, moving with an unnatural calm. He walks towards Kevin's car. Kevin probably smiled, probably asked if the driver was okay. That's what Kevin was. The man draws a handgun. Bang. The first shot hits Kevin at point-blank range, close enough that the muzzle flash sears his flesh. Kevin screams, stumbles, falls to the pavement. The gunman stands over him and fires 7 more shots, calmly, methodically, making absolutely sure Kevin Jiang would not live. A neighbor hears the gunfire, looks out their window, watches as the gunman stands over Kevin's body, watches as the muzzle flashes in the darkness. The gunman calmly gets back into his vehicle and drives away. No sprinting, no screeching tires, just drives away as if nothing had happened. No shouting beforehand, no argument, no panic from the gunman. Kevin is dead on the spot. His Prius is 100 feet away, door open, headlights still shining. 26 years old, 1 week engaged, months from graduation, dead on a cold street for reasons that would never make sense. The police first think of road rage. This is what the initial story suggests: a collision, a sudden escalation, a shooter running off into the night. But the detectives soon realize that something is not right. Very, very not right. Chapter 3. The first cracks in the story. Detective David Zaweski is standing over the crime scene that night. He has been investigating homicides for years, but this one just doesn't seem right. Road rage shootings are chaotic, emotional. Someone gets mad, loses their temper, and does something stupid in the heat of the moment. This wasn't that. This was an execution-style shooting. The shooter shot Kevin with precision at point-blank range. 8 shots. He didn't hesitate, didn't steal Kevin's wallet, phone, or car. Didn't even check if Kevin was dead before walking away. The ballistics report comes back the next day. The shots were precise and calculated, all from a .45 caliber handgun, professional grouping, someone who is comfortable with guns. Then another piece of evidence comes to light that makes the Weskys' blood run cold. In the days and weeks leading up to Kevin's murder, there had been random shootings in the same part of New Haven. 4 different incidents, 4 different houses, 4 different neighborhoods, but all within miles of where Kevin was murdered. No one was injured in any of them. No robberies, just random violence, random gunfire. At first, the police thought it was just a series of unrelated incidents, maybe gang violence, maybe vandalism. Then they ran the ballistics. The shell casings from all 4 incidents matched the shell casings from Kevin's murder. Same gun, same bullets, same shooter. Someone had been shooting at random houses for 2 months, making a pattern. Then they realized something terrifying. The other shootings had been practice, rehearsals. Someone was making noise, confusion, a pattern of randomness. Someone wanted Kevin Jiang's murder to be just another incident in a spate of violence, to disappear into chaos. It was a smokescreen, brilliant and terrifying. And that's when the police realized this wasn't road rage at all. This was premeditated murder disguised as random violence. They begin to look not at strangers on the highway, but at Kevin's personal life. Who wanted Kevin Jiang dead badly enough to plan it for months? Chapter 5. The name no one expected. The police begin to dig through Kevin's digital trail, his phone, his text, his emails, his social media sites, for threats, enemies, conflicts, anything that might explain this. They turn up nothing. Kevin's texts are full of Bible study conversations, research questions, loving messages to his mother and Zion. Nothing but light and light. No drama, no angry exes, no debts, no secrets. Kevin Jiang was exactly who he seemed to be, a genuinely good person. Then Detective Zaweski begins to dig through Zion's social media sites. If there's no motive for Kevin, maybe it has something to do with someone he knows. That's when they turn up something unexpected. A man named Kin Xuan Pan, a Facebook friend of Zion's. Zaweski's hands begin to shake when he sees the name, because just hours after Kevin's murder, police in the next town over had assisted a stranded driver named Kin Xuan Pan, the same Pan who left a stolen car and a gun behind an Arby's dumpster. Zaweski clicks on Pan's page and begins to dig. Kin Xuan Pan was a graduate student at MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, one of the most prestigious universities in the world. Pan's background is remarkable. Silver medal winner at the International Mathematical Olympiad in 2009, holds multiple degrees from MIT, PhD candidate under a world-renowned AI researcher. Intelligent, brilliant, actually, quiet, private, socially isolated. He had no connection with Kevin. Never met, never spoke to each other, attended different schools, different disciplines, different states, but he knew Zion Perry. Zaweski interviews Zion. When he mentions Pan's name, she looks puzzled. Kin Xuan Pan from MIT? We were barely acquainted. We went to the same Christian fellowship meetings when I was an undergrad. We're Facebook friends, but we haven't spoken since I moved to New Haven. Did he ever make any romantic overtures? Zion hesitates. Her face changes. Actually, yes. Nothing overt, but I had a feeling he was interested in me. It made me uncomfortable. Zaweski shows her Kevin's engagement video from Facebook. Date posted January 30th, 2021. 7 days later, Kevin Jiang was dead. The police think Pon had a private obsession with Zion Perry. Not with love, with something more sinister, something possessive. An obsession that grew stronger after the engagement announcement, after Zion said yes to another man. An obsession that turned deadly. And then, suddenly, the puzzle pieces start to fall into place. But what the investigators discover next reveals the true extent of this murder's planning. What the detective discovered next is chilling in its specifics. Chilling because it reveals a level of planning that is almost hard to believe. The investigators retrieve footage from car dealerships across Massachusetts. In December 2020, Kingswan Pon starts visiting car dealerships. He is well-dressed, well-mannered, interested in purchasing an SUV. He asks to take dark-colored GMC Terrains for a test drive. The sales staff see a highly educated MIT grad student and readily hand over the keys. Pon says he'll be back in an hour or two. Then he drives away. The investigators trace the dates of the test drives to the date of the random shootings in New Haven. They match to perfection. December 2020, Pon takes a test drive of an SUV. Later that day, shots are fired in New Haven. Pon returns the SUV. January 2021, the same thing happens. Test drive, shoot at a house, return. February 6th, 2021. Pon takes a blue GMC Terrain at 11 a.m. He never returns it because he uses it to murder Kevin Jiang. Kingswan Pon allegedly stole cars from car dealerships. He switched license plates to conceal its tracks. He disabled GPS tracking because, as a computer science PhD student, he knew how to use technology to his advantage. He crossed state lines so that no single law enforcement agency could piece together the evidence. The earlier shootings now make perfect sense. They were intended to create a pattern of random violence in New Haven. So when Kevin Jiang was murdered, the police would think, wrong place, wrong time. Just another victim of urban violence. The randomness was the disguise. Kevin's murder was not the beginning. It was the end of a cleverly designed deception. Pon knew he could outsmart the police, outsmart the investigators, outsmart consequences. He studied algorithms, probability, game theory. He knew how the investigation process worked. He thought his intelligence would make him invincible. For a time, it almost worked, because after killing Kevin, after disposing of the gun, after being released by police officers who had no idea what they were up against, Pon disappeared completely. Weeks turned into months. The case went cold until the U.S. Marshals got involved. February 10th, 2021. Police publicly named Pon as a person of interest. February 11th, Pon's parents withdraw large sums of cash and help him flee. Marshals later discover the family has access to millions of dollars. Georgia State Police pull over Pon's parents. They claim their son got out and walked into the woods, that he's suicidal. The officers let him go. It's a mistake. Surveillance footage later shows Pon alive in Georgia. His parents were lying. February 26th, arrest warrant issued. Pon is charged with murder. The reward starts at $5,000, then increases to $10,000. His face is everywhere. News broadcasts, FBI bulletins, America's Most Wanted. Weeks turn into months. U.S. Marshals follow leads across nearly 11 states. Every sighting, every tip, every connection. The trail goes cold. Some fear Pon has fled to China, where extradition would be nearly impossible. Then, on May 4th, 2021, 3 months and 8 days after Kevin's murder, the U.S. Marshals Gulf Coast Regional Fugitive Task Force finally closes in. Pon is finally located in Alabama. They surround the boarding house at dawn, announce themselves, U.S. Marshals. Inside, they find Kingswan Pon. He is arrested without incident. No fight, no drama, just raises his hands in surrender. When police search him, they find evidence of the shootings and stolen cars, $20,000 in cash, his father's passport, 7 cell phones, 7 SIM cards, fake IDs. Pon had been planning to live the rest of his life on the run. The perfect plan unravels. The manhunt is over, but the legal fight is only just beginning. Pon is extradited to Connecticut. His bail is set at $20 million, one of the highest in state history. The evidence is overwhelming. DNA, ballistics, surveillance footage, cell phone records, the trail of stolen cars corresponding with the shootings, all of it leading to Pan. In 2024, King Swan Pan pleads guilty to murder and multiple firearms charges. He's sentenced to 35 years in prison with no chance of parole. At sentencing, Pan speaks briefly. His voice is low and detached. "I feel sorry for what my actions caused. I feel very bad for what happened. I fully accept my penalties." The words feel empty, like reciting lines from a script, like a computer program, not a person. No dramatic courtroom confession, no tearful apology, no real explanation of why, just silence. Kevin's father speaks through tears. "My son was a remarkable young man who cherished life and held deep belief in God. He had a bright future ahead, one that promised to spread God's love far and wide." Pan is led away in handcuffs. He doesn't look back. This case isn't scary because of violence alone. It's scary because of how calculated it was. A man with elite education from MIT, advanced intelligence and artificial intelligence, access to technology and resources, not driven by rage in the moment, driven by obsession over time. He spent months planning, creating false patterns, stealing vehicles, disabling GPS, building what he thought was a foolproof plan. Kevin Jiang didn't die because of road rage. Kevin didn't die because of a random act of violence. He died because someone quietly decided he shouldn't exist. Someone who believed that if he couldn't have Zion Perry, then Kevin Jiang couldn't either. And that is far more terrifying than any heat-of-the-moment crime, because it shows what happens when obsession meets intelligence without empathy. This case reminds us that the most dangerous threats don't always look dangerous. Sometimes they look brilliant. Sometimes they sit in classrooms at prestigious universities. Sometimes they hide behind achievements and polite manners. Kevin Jiang should be alive today. He should have married Zion. He should be working to protect the environment. He should be serving his country and his community. Instead, he's gone, murdered by someone consumed by an obsession he never even knew existed.